Welcome, everyone, to the weekly 30-minute digital marketing breakdown. I am Patrice Valentine with Profusion Web Solutions. Today, we're going to talk about reviews. And if you're like, hey, I feel like we've been talking about reviews for the last 14 webinars, you're not wrong. I think I've mentioned the importance of reviews in every single one of those. But I want to be a little bit upfront in this session. It's going to be a little bit different from what people are thinking about when we talk about just getting reviews. We're not simply talking today about getting more stars or more reviews. We're talking about building an actual system, a repeatable, low effort process that's going to help generate reviews consistently, that's going to handle them well. It's going to allow you to respond to them, and then putting them in a place that's actually going to make a difference for your business. So on your website and in other important places. A business can have 85-star reviews and still have a flat conversion rate on their website if they're not using those reviews to their advantage. So today we're going to look at how to use those reviews and how to get them to perform for your business. So specifically, we're going to look at why businesses are leaving reviews on the table. I'm guessing this is going to be the case for a lot of you on the call. Certainly was for us before we got our system in place. How to build a simple review system, what to say when asking for a review, how to respond to both positive and negative. We'll look at both sides of that. Where to put those reviews on your website for the highest conversion. We're going to look at some review formats that work best. So text, video, 5 stars, those kind of things. And then as always, we're going to leave you with some action items that we're going to encourage you to do this week as you kind of continue on your digital marketing journey. Let's start again with why reviews even matter. I know, again, we've been talking about reviews and how important they are for the last, I really do think, since the very first webinar that we did this year. But I think most business owners think of reviews simply as kind of reputation management, making sure that they get good things out about their business. You want people to say good things about your business, obviously. Reviews are actually doing three completely different jobs. The first job is search visibility. So now Google is actually using your not only the content of the reviews, but your total review count. So how many reviews you have. It's using your overall rating and looking at how recently you've been getting reviews. Those are the signals that it's looking at. So the total number, the number of stars, and how recent those reviews have come in. Two businesses that have identical websites can rank completely differently in Google Maps just because one of them has more recent reviews. This is especially true if you're looking at Google Maps or at your Google business profile. So the first thing it's doing, the reviews are doing, is increasing your search visibility. The second job is one I think that we probably most identify with reviews, is it's building trust. Study after study shows that people trust online reviews almost as much, maybe even more, than a recommendation from a friend. I know I do it when I'm shopping online or if I'm just researching a product. We're reading reviews and not, I don't know about anyone else, but I will often filter on those 1-star reviews because I want to see what the dirt is on this business. Is it somebody complaining because you'll see, let's on a product review, for example, you'll see some of those 1-star reviews will be not actually about the product, but about the delivery. The delivery service wasn't good. So it's interesting to go in and read all of the reviews because it's allowing you to see, okay, what is the negative about this company? And do I find that to be a negative? Is that something that I'm willing to put up with if I'm going to be working with this business? It gives customers a sense of what it actually is like to work with your business. The third job, and this is the one that we see most businesses, I don't want to say ignore, but they don't utilize it to its full potential, and this is conversion. So reviews placed in the right spot on your website at the right moments during that visitor's decision process, it can be the thing that takes somebody from, maybe being wishy-washy to actually taking action. This is what we're going to spend some time on today and looking at how you can use your reviews, where to place them, and use them as that conversion fuel for your website. The most common problem that we see, the mistake that most businesses are making, is that they're using the reviews as kind of a digital trophy case. They've collected some online reviews, they put them on maybe a testimonials page on their website, and they link to that testimonials page from somewhere in the website. Usually in the footer, you'll see a link to testimonials, or maybe it's linked to from the About Us page. And they're proud of the reviews, it's a good thing to have. They've added them to the website, but it's not going to be doing anything if it's just sitting on a testimonials page. It's not going to be doing anything to move the needle. Visitors have to intentionally go to a testimonials page if they're going to visit that. They have to make an actual decision to click through to that page. They're not seeing those testimonials if they're just on a page. They're not seeing those in the moments where doubt actually creeps up. The moments where they're reading about a service and wondering if this is right for me, that's where a review should be, is in that on the services page. And we're going to talk more about exact placement in a minute here. But if you only have reviews on a testimonial page and they're not sprinkled throughout your website, services page, pricing pages, right next to your contact form, if it's only on a dedicated page, people are not likely to be navigating there unless they're already pretty far into their decision-making process. If you think about it from a visitor's perspective, and think about how they're weaving their way through your website. And you can even see a lot of this in your analytics. You can see kind of that page path. You can see maybe they're going from your home page to your about page to your services page to your contact page, and then maybe they go from your contact page somewhere else. So you want to hit them with different reviews and testimonials in the areas in which they're actually looking on your website. If you can use a review to help you in the sales process to actually answer some questions, on the contact us page, if someone's about to submit the form and they're going, I wonder how long it's going to take to hear back from this company. And you have a review on the contact page that says, great response time. I always heard back from the company within 12 to 24 hours. You're answering that question about contact and response time really before that user has even had a chance to ask it. You're answering that question and providing some proof. So social proof really only works when it shows up when the user is experiencing some level of doubt or has a question that needs to be answered. That's the whole game, and that's what we're going to be building towards today, is not having our testimonials in a trophy case, but actually putting them where they are going to make the biggest difference for you. Not surprisingly, most businesses don't get enough reviews. They're not maybe maximizing the number of reviews that they can get. And it's not typically because customers are unhappy. In most cases, the customers who don't leave reviews, they are happy. They just didn't get around to leaving a review, or they didn't know the process for leaving a review. Leaving a review from the customer's point of view requires remembering to do it, finding the right platform to do it on, even figuring out what to say. So typing up an answer. There's a small amount of friction if we're not giving people the exact steps to take in order to leave that review. And again, I think as we've talked about in almost all of our other webinars, if there's any element of friction or confusion, people don't take action. So we want to make sure that there is a process in place. We'll talk about that process in the next slide. That there's a process in place to make asking for reviews second nature or part of a system. On the business side of things, and this is something I had to kind of get over as a business owner as well, asking can feel somewhat uncomfortable. It's a little bit like a popularity vote where you're like, hey, it feels like you like me, but you want to make it public. Do you want to tell people that you like me? It feels kind of strange or uncomfortable, like you're being pushy or somewhat begging for the review. And that discomfort causes the ask to happen infrequently. So I'm going to say this with as much love and encouragement as I can, but that is something we just need to get over. Business is business. It can be personal. Obviously, we want to do business with people that we know, like, and trust, but we're asking someone to help us make a business choice, right? You're asking for someone who has chosen to do business with you to leave you a review. So you want to make sure that you're asking for it and not letting your own ego stand in the way of you asking for those reviews. The fix isn't getting more comfortable with asking. The fix is also building a system so that the ask happens every single time, with or without you. It doesn't matter if you're involved in the process or not. Building that system to make sure that those review requests goes out is going to make it so that, whether or not you feel brave enough to ask for it, the review ask is going to go out regardless. If there's no system, then you become the bottleneck, right? You become the reason why someone's not leaving reviews because you didn't remember to ask, and then maybe too much time has passed and it gets awkward. So having a system in place is going to make it so that the reviews come in on a regular basis and your ego is taken out of it a little bit. A good review system has four different elements to it. The first one is timing. The slide is very vague here. It says ask at the right moment. And for you, you're like, okay, great. What is the right moment? That's going to be dependent on every single business. If you are an e-commerce business, you might ask for the review right after the delivery notification goes out, or right after the order notification goes out, or you might ask, 3 days after. You might have a process as to when, the person has had a chance to use the product a little bit, and that's the best time to ask for a review. So the right moment for is going to be different for every single business. For us, the right moment seems great when a new site goes live, when a website launches. That's usually like a new baby is born, and aren't we all happy, and it's exciting and there's hope, and what a great time to ask for a review. So typically for us, that's when we ask for a review. When the project is launched out to the world, our system will kick out a request saying there's a specific term that we use or a specific wording that we use that you'll see on the next slide that asks for that review. So timing is everything. You want it to be at a moment where the customer has had a win of some kind, after a job is complete, after a successful appointment, after a purchase arrives, something where there is, it feels like a natural step to have a review ask at that moment. You don't want to ask too late, so make sure that you're within the process of, if we launch a website Friday, we don't want to send it out 3 months from now. We could, it would be a good follow up, but the ideal timing is going to be right when that website launches. Element number two is having a method. For most service businesses, a direct text message, if you collect text messages or phone numbers to send text to, or a direct email is going to be your highest converting way to ask for a review. It's personal, it's easy to respond to, you can include the link directly in the email, and it gets seen. So if you have strong email or text relationships, those are probably the two easiest and best, most highly converting ways to ask for reviews. I've also seen successful postcard campaigns, or if you are a service business that's like in the house, if you're like an HVAC repair company or a plumber, at the time when the person is checking out, when they're signing their little invoice on your computer or on your clipboard, that's a great time to ask as well. It can be emotionally high at that point, especially if, you know, I just had a flooded basement because some plumbing went wrong, and you're saying, "Hey, sorry about that 10 grand you had to send. Would you like to leave us a Google review?" So just know that there might be times where the emotions are high, and your review might reflect that. So, but have a method for it. So if it's email, text message at the end of a service project, pick the method that fits your business and just make sure it gets done consistently. Element number three is the message itself. And this is times where a lot of businesses get it a little bit wrong, where it sounds really generic in nature. We'll talk about exactly what to say on the 2 slides from now. So you'll see that in a couple of slides, but making sure you get the messaging correct. And really the thing to drive home here is you don't want it to be super generic. Like, "Hey, thanks for being a customer of Profusion. Please leave us a review." There's no incentive for me as a customer. I don't feel compelled to write that. There's no win for me to give you that review. So we want to make sure the message is specific and personal. And then element number four is the follow-up. So if someone hasn't responded in 5 to 7 days, go ahead and send them a little nudge. Say, "Hey, just a gentle reminder, our business really relies on Google reviews. We're a small business," whatever you're going to say. Send that reminder. People usually aren't not doing a review because they hate you. They just get busy, right? Like, look at your inbox, look at your text messages. I don't know about you, but if I look at my phone right now, I have 706 unread text messages. So if a customer, if a client has texted me asking for a review, it's likely that I might have missed it the first time around. There's no harm in sending that nudge for the second time to say, "Hey, we'd love to have this review." The goal again is to make it easy. We're not pressuring people, but we're asking for what we want. Now, I would say the biggest resistance we get from customers who, when we say, "Hey, you need to implement a review system that goes out to everyone," most business owners that we talk to have a level of hesitancy around this because they say, "I want to pick and choose who gets to leave a review," because they are afraid of that negative review. I get it. But we need to get that feedback. So positive feedback, so awesome to hear. As a business owner, we love to get that positive feedback. We love to hear that we're doing things right. Negative feedback, also mission critical. Like, that's also really good information for us to have. We can take that negative information and it allows us to grow and change and maybe, refine operations as a business owner. Now, the way that we kind of get around I don't want to say we get around this, but we have two systems that I'm going to show you that make it so that if you are this customer, if you're like, hey, I feel really nervous about just sending out a review request to all of my customers at every time. There's two things that you can do. There is this customer, they own a roofing company. Roofing is one of those businesses that it's expensive and it's not something we do every day. I don't get a new roof on my house every day or every year even, right? So it's an expensive thing and I don't do it all that often. So as a consumer, I don't feel super educated about this. So again, because of those two factors, the emotions are usually pretty high with a project like this. It might be I'm having to get a new roof because there was a natural disaster, because there was a fire, because there was a storm, whatever it is. I'm not stoked about having to get a new roof, right? This isn't something that's like, hooray, it's a new roof day. Ultimately, it's a good thing, but no one really enjoys spending that much money. So for this customer, we've given them an on the website way to send people to leave them a review. Whenever an invoice goes out, when they leave a project, this customer has a little QR code that links people back to this page. And here's why. The first question here says, how would you rate your experience with Rain Shield? If someone gives us a 1 star, they had a horrible experience with this customer for whatever reason. Instead of taking them to Google, it says, we're sorry you were less than satisfied with your experience. We value your experience. We'd love the opportunity to learn what we could have done better. And then we encourage them to complete this form. The form is on our website. This is not a public facing form that allows anyone other than the website owner to receive this information. So 1 star, 2 star, 3 star review, you're going to get this same experience on the website. 4 star, watch what happens. 4 star, now we get the experience say as a small local business, we rely on Google reviews to help potential customers learn what it's like to work with us. Please consider leaving this review on Google. If you say yes, you would like to leave this review on Google, as soon as you hit the submit button, and the submit button shows up here. As soon as you hit submit, this is actually going to take you to Google, where you can then leave a review for this customer. So it's going to take you directly to Google Maps, where you can then begin leaving your Google review. Okay. So that is one way to do this. If you have control over your website and you have the ability to add a website form that has some level of conditional logic, create a quick form that is something similar to this. 1, 2, 3 stars, that review stays on the website. They fill out a feedback form at that point. 4 star, 5 star, encourage them to go to Google. And again, we gave them a reason. As a small business, we really rely on Google reviews to help potential customers learn what it's like to work with us. We give someone a reason why to leave a review. So that is one way to do it. If you have control over your website and you can do that. Oh, you know what? None of you saw that. Shoot. I just realized that that was on the wrong screen. Okay, let's go here. Sorry, and you maybe just sent me a chat. Oh, sorry, shoot. Okay, I think I described the experience well enough, but here's just so you can see it here. So 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, you still only see the feedback form. 4 star, 5 star. If I say yes, I'm not a robot. And if I click submit here, it's going to take me to the Google review page. Sorry, I didn't realize I was not presenting that information. That was on my other monitor here. Okay, so that's one option. And then the other option is if Profusion is handling your Google Business Profile management, you will automatically have a built-in review page like this. Very similar concept, but this happens off the website. So if you don't have a website that has a content management system that allows us to add a form, you can do this off the website and you can say something like, okay, if I had an excellent or good experience, this is going to say, it's going to allow me to take this over to Google. If you had an okay or a bad experience, it's going to keep the information on this form. So we're doing some level of reputation management by kind of filtering and screening out who we encourage to go to Google. So if I say excellent, and I'm going to say, they were friendly, they were reliable, they were professional. And you'll see down here, we have a little AI generator that is actually writing a review on behalf of the person leaving this. So I can say, click and copy to Google. And then as soon as this refreshes, it's going to take me to the Google Business Profile where I can now leave that review directly. Okay. So that is the system there. There's the review pop-up, boom, all that information is there. Okay, so if you're concerned about sending the review to every client, do something like this. Do an intermediary system that allows you to kind of filter 1, 2, 3 stars. They stay on the website, leave you a review. 4 or 5 stars, they get sent off to Google Business Profile to actually leave a full review. Okay. Now, when we are asking, this is usually where someone can take it or leave it, right? If I get a review request and it's like, hey, leave us a Google review, but there's nothing personal about it. There's nothing incentivizing me, like, I want to help your business grow and I'm a customer of yours and I like your business. There's no incentive for me. I'm unlikely to do it. And the incentive doesn't, I'm not saying incentivize as in a monetary incentive. I'm saying incentivize as in I want to help you. I want to reciprocate. You just help me with your product or service. And now I want to reciprocate and help you with my review. So the two messages is, we'd really appreciate if you could leave us a review. Great. Okay, I might get around to that. But the second one, consider this. If I said, hey, Aaron, it was great working with you on our kitchen remodel project last week. If you have a few minutes, we'd love if you could leave us an honest Google review. It would mean a lot to us as a small business. Here's the direct link. Even a sentence or two about your experience is hugely helpful. That's it. You want to keep it personal. You want to send them the direct link and then, just kind of give them a gentle prompt as to what to write. So just a little bit about the kitchen remodel project, whatever you want it to write. The difference in response rate between these two messages is going to be pretty significant. One is, again, you're asking someone a personal favor. Can you do this for me? The other one is, hey, leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. But they're going to filter out anything that just feels like, oh, you're asking everyone this. This isn't meant directly for me. So you want to make sure that the ask is specific to the user. Now, where you want to ask for these reviews, we focus mostly on Google Business Profile because that is going to be the biggest bang for your proverbial buck. Your Google Business Profile reviews, they will directly affect your ranking in Google Maps and in the local search results. They're going to be the most visible and the most trusted reviews. So that's going to be the biggest help for you. If you're only going to focus on one platform, focus on Google. Once you have a consistent Google review strategy up and running, then you can look and see what else might make sense for your industry. If you are a contractor, you might look at adding house, for example. People are looking there for a lot of projects. Restaurants and service providers, you might use Yelp, although their review process is a little bit interesting because they hide 5 star and 1 star reviews frequently. So interesting business model there. Healthcare providers, you might want to look at health grades. If you're in real estate, you might want to look at Zillow. So there are specific platforms that your customers are using. Zillow is huge if you're in real estate. So if you're in a specific industry, consider Google first. And then once you have that process dialed in, then you can look at adding a secondary market as well. Always, just kind of as a side, I know I mentioned it, but make sure you're always sending people to the direct link. Don't say, find us on Google and have them figure out, or find my profile on Zillow and have people figure out how to leave you a review. Google makes it very easy to send people the direct link so that as soon as they hit that link, it's going to pop up with the leave a review form. So make it one click, make it as easy as possible for the user to actually leave a review. Responding to reviews matters almost as much as the review itself, especially now, because there is evidence showing that Google search and AI answers are pulling content directly from reviews and review responses. So a lot of businesses are focusing only on getting the reviews and they're treating the responses as kind of an afterthought. The mental shift I want to make for you is that you need to respond to the review, not because you want that person who left the review to feel responded to. You're responding to the review for every other potential customer looking at your business. So that's who you're responding for. You're responding for everyone else who's going to read this in the future and not necessarily for the person who left the review. What this does, a response, is it gives people a window into how you treat people. It's especially true for negative reviews, and we'll look at how to actually respond to a negative review here in a second. But it's going to show how you handle a complaint. It's going to allow you to show professionalism, some empathy, maybe make an offer for, to make it right. Whatever it needs to happen, you can do that. And you're leaving that review response for other people. Everyone knows that things go wrong at times. What they want to know is how you handle both gracious feedback and feedback that might not feel as good to you. quickly, again, I feel like we're a little bit running out of time here, but for positive reviews, respond to every positive review, but don't respond the same to every positive review. So I've seen customers, especially like in the healthcare industry, where they just copy and paste the same canned response of "Thank you for your review. Thank you for your review. We appreciate you as a customer. Thank you for your review." What you want to do is actually include their name. So if they left the review, you'll see it comes from Patrice Valentine or whoever the name is. You want to say, "Thank you so much, Patrice. We're really glad that the new kitchen countertops turned out how you envisioned it. It was a great project to work on. We hope to help you with your next project. Can't wait to work with you again." Something like that. What that does is it references the actual job that you completed for me. It uses my name, which I'm a real human, and it sounds like a person wrote it. I'm not a bot responding to the review. I'm an actual person who responded. You don't need to write a huge long paragraph. A couple of sentences is plenty. The goal is just to show some specificity to show that you actually completed that project. This is a real person who really hired you to do the work. For keywords, the last item on the slide here, this is when you respond. It's an opportunity to add in some local keywords as well. So again, using my kitchen remodel example, I might want to say, "We were so happy to help you with your kitchen remodel in Bellingham." And I'm including a service that we use or that we do, kitchen remodeling, and I'm including a location, Bellingham. That way, when someone is searching in Google for kitchen remodel Bellingham, Google is able to pull up that review and include that as part of their kind of knowledge set about my business. So using keywords in your response is very important as well. Now, and just to kind of show that, I did a quick Google search for flower arrangement Bellingham. You can see the words in bold, flowers, bouquet it's a close match. Arranged for arrangement, bouquet, again, close match flowers. Google is highlighting the words in the reviews that match the word that I searched for. So this is already happening. Google's already pulling in information from reviews and responses. Let's talk about negative reviews real quick. And I think this might be my favorite example of all time. It's a marketing company who did this. So at first I was tricked by this because I thought it was a real review, but it was Rebecca left a one-star review, absolutely awful tamale. It was chewy, stringy, and I couldn't even bite through it. Left that review and then came back later and said, "Oh, okay, I was just told I'm not supposed to eat the corn husk." That just changed the whole experience. Seriously, the best thing I've ever tried. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to delete my review. My bad. So this is a great, obviously fun anecdote here, but a one-star review turned to four-star review. My favorite one. But when you're looking at negative reviews, they're not all gonna do what that client just did, where it's gonna be a fake review. You're gonna get a negative review. It's gonna happen at some points. When that does happen, I'm gonna take a cue from my kids' soccer program here. With their soccer program, we are not allowed to talk to the coach or to a referee after a game for 24 hours. So we might be super pissed at a coaching call, the fact that our kid didn't get any playing time or whatever happened. We are not allowed to talk to them or respond for 24 hours. So I'm going to encourage you to take the soccer rule on here. And if you get a negative review, take a breath, just take a quick pause. Do not respond immediately when you're upset. It doesn't matter how untrue the review is, how justified you feel in what you did. Just take a second to breathe through this. And then when you do get to respond to it, and I will say you must respond to the negative review as well. Acknowledge the experience without being defensive. And I'll show you an example of this. Apologize for the frustration, even if you disagree with the facts or your facts look different. Apologize for the frustration. And then elect to take it offline. So you're going to offer to, "Hey, if you'd like to further talk about this, please call the office. Please email this email address." So you're going to take it offline. We're not trying to engage with online trolls at this point. We're not trying to have a back and forth discussion about what did or did not happen. That's not our goal here. Our goal is simply acknowledging what happened. So we're going to take it offline and then we're going to keep it short. This is not the place to write up 16 paragraphs and a dissertation about what happened in our experience. We're going to keep the response short. And here's an example of one. So a client of ours, it was a medical facility. I blocked off the names in case there was any HIPAA violations here, but client, after 16 years, this client was discharged without notice. What I happen to know is that the clinic provided plenty of notice and the patient actually filled out the form saying that With more than 3 no-shows or cancellation appointments, you can no longer be a patient at this facility. And that's exactly what happened. This customer wanted a refill on his prescription, but had canceled 4 previous appointments and hadn't been seen in over 2 years. Um, so they dropped him as a patient. So we just responded back. He wrote back a whole thing about here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. And we wrote back, thank you for taking the time to leave feedback. We're sorry to hear that your recent experience did not meet your expectations. This is where it gets important for our side of things a little bit here. Patient care decisions are always made in accordance with established practice policies, and we regret that the circumstance in this case was unexpected for you. So again, we set the expectation, we responded. Any future person reading this, again, we're not writing this necessarily for him to read. We're writing this for all future people who are simply searching on the 1-star reviews here. And they're seeing that, okay, there was a patient expectation that the clinic set that this person did not meet. So we set that expectation right up front, and it allows us to give our side without going into a lot of detail, right? So there are ways to respond to the negative reviews without having to go into a huge, long, dissertation about what happened specifically with that client. So, but you do need to respond to negative reviews. That is what people are going to be looking for. Now, let's jump into the piece that that most businesses with their reviews, they don't take it to this next step, and that's actually putting your reviews to work for you. Here's how to think about this on your website. Again, the visitor's journey is not linear. They're not going step 1, 2, 3, 4. They're usually jumping around, skimming different content, forming impressions quickly, and at multiple places along the way. So your job is to anticipate where questions might appear, where some confusion might appear, and include reviews right at that point. The highest value locations are going to be the service pages. That's where if people are reading about specifically what you do, they're getting interested in your services. And right as they approach that call to action, the call now, the get a quote, request an appointment, whatever it is, there might be a moment of hesitation. Do I really want to give this business my name? Do I really want to set this appointment? Do I want to talk to a salesperson? At that exact point is a great time to put a review that speaks specifically about the services. You're going to want to put it right near the button, not at the bottom. Right near that submit button is where you're going to want to have that testimonial. On your pricing section or pricing page, that's another place where hesitation might peak. When someone sees the price, there's some doubt might surface. So having a review there that talks about, hey, this was worth every penny. Really love this project or product, would purchase again, something like that. That's going to be a really high ROI placement of a testimonial on your website. And then right next to your contact form, before someone hits submit, there's often kind of that last second. Again, I'm giving them my information. Do I really want to do this? And that's something where, having a meaningful testimonial about an experience with your business is going to also work really well on that contact button. We're getting close here. So thank you for bearing with me a little bit over time here. If you're looking at specifically what review formats to use, not all formats work the same across platforms. So let's just quickly talk through a few of these here. Written snippets, again, if we're specifically looking at Google reviews, you're mostly going to get a written snippet. You're going to get some content there. You might get photos because with Google reviews, you can also leave a photo. So you might get how they're using your product, how they're using your service, what it's done for them. If it's, a roof picture for a roofing example, again, you might get photos, but you're going to get a written snippet, and that's going to be kind of our bread and butter. Those you want to place near a call to action. That's where you're going to use that format the most. You don't want to use a really long one, so you just need to pull out, a sentence or two that talks specifically about the outcome of working with you. If you have star ratings, so if you have like a 5-star review, if you wanted to use that as kind of a graphic, that's good for showing kind of your aggregate rating. It builds some instant credibility on your homepage, near your business name, again on that contact page. Just it builds that legitimacy and answers the question of is this legitimate? Is what they're offering legitimate to me? If you can get a video testimonial, so if you have a client that you've done great work for and you wanted to get them on video, this is going to be the most powerful format for building trust, particularly if you have a higher ticket service. So again, that home remodeler, if you have a customer that's willing to do a video testimonial, that's going to be a really high trust, a high value testimonial for you. It can be a quick 30-second clip of a real customer talking about their experience. And that's going to do more work for you than you telling people. If someone else is willing to get on video and say, I had a great experience with this company, here's what I did and here's how the process went for me, that means more than you telling someone about the process. Case studies are really great for services that have a longer sales cycle, or again, a purchase that doesn't happen very often. Walking a potential customer through a situation of here's the problem, here's what we did, here's the results, letting them see that in kind of a story form that gives that deeper level of persuasion. So that's gonna provide more dividends than like a star rating, for example. And then I'm sure you've seen some of those live social proof widgets where, at the bottom of a website, it might say something like, Patrice from Ferndale, Washington just purchased this 20 hours ago. Those are great for, if someone just booked something with you, if you have an e-commerce site. So for a high traffic e-commerce site that maybe has a lower price point to it, it's more consumable. That's going to be a time to use those social proof widgets. They do tend to be pretty valuable, especially if people haven't purchased from you before. So showing that other people are purchasing, they purchased before, they're continuing to purchase. It's not a bad thing to have those live social proof widgets as well. Now, I always like to leave you with a takeaway. I want to be specific enough that you can do them today if you wanted to. The first is you're going to go write your review request script. So go write that something about, have it come from your heart, right? The one that we use, literally says your review makes a difference for our small business. We are a small family-owned business and your review makes a difference. And then I include something about the project that we worked on together. So it can be very specific and short. The thing we're going to have you do is write your review request and send it to 3 people. Go send it to 3 people. So this is not part of your system that you're setting up. You're just initially asking. Go send it to 3 people that you've done work with recently. The second thing you're going to do is if you have reviews on Google that you have not responded to, go respond right now. So go to business.google.com and log in and respond to those reviews. I don't care how old they are. If there is a review, you need to go and respond to it. Let's say you have 10 reviews right now, go do 2 a day for the next 5 days. So go and continually add to those and get those responses in. Responding, again, you're not responding for the person who left the review. You are responding for the people who will come see this in the future. And then the third thing we want you to do this week is to look at your top service page or your homepage, find where your primary call to action lives, and add 2 reviews near that button. Not at the bottom, near the button. People like to bury these near the bottom, but you want it to be right near the button. Those are your 3 to-dos. So write your review request script, send it to 3 people, respond to any and all reviews, and then add 2 review snippets to your website. Okay, those 3 things alone will put you ahead of your competitors because most businesses haven't done this on their website yet. Reviews are, again, I'll probably talk about them next week too, but they're not a one-time project. Reviews are one of the most durable marketing assets that you can build. Unlike an ad that's going to stop working the minute you stop paying, or a social post that might get buried in the chronological order of social posts, a well-placed review on your website keeps working for you every single day. Every visitor who sees it, every hesitation that it resolves, every person who decides to contact you because of doing it, that all happens without you having to do anything additional. That's your reviews working for you. So build the system, make the ask repeatable, and then put the reviews where doubt lives. Put the reviews where doubt lives. Thank you again for being here today. We will open it. I know there's a couple questions that came in, so I want to get to those as well while I'm looking at those. I do want to remind you that the past webinars are up on our website. So just go to our site there. You can view the past webinars. Again, I think there's 14 or 15 of them for this year so far. And then next week, we are looking at building a 60-day plan. So we're gonna talk through kind of the new things that have happened in our industry, and we're going to develop a 60-day marketing plan. All right, questions here. Marcus, talk to me about paying for reviews. Yeah. Okay. You cannot legally or really ethically pay someone for Google reviews. Google has a pretty strict policy against exchanging money or discounts or any incentive for reviews. If they catch you doing this, The best case scenario is that they're going to remove the reviews. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that your Google business profile will be suspended and your local visibility will suffer massively. So for me, I get the same emails, right? Where it's like, hey, we'll give you 10 Google reviews for $50. And I know you can go on Fiverr and you can buy reviews. I don't think it's worth the effort. It's or the risk for that matter. Um, you should be able to get Google reviews from your current customer base if you put a system in place. And that is how I will always recommend you do it. Cheating the system and trying to buy reviews or incentivize people for the reviews, it's just not worth the risk. Getting your Google business profile listing taken down or suspended, it's incredibly difficult to get it back. So we've had folks who've had to attempt to put up a new business profile and it just doesn't work. So I would not purchase reviews or incentivize for reviews. Mandy, can I use reviews from Google on my website? Yeah, you sure can. So there's widgets that you can use. If you look at our website, we actually pull in all of the Google reviews directly from Google. So we just use Google's API and include it right on our website. There's probably no matter what website platform you're using, if it's WordPress or Wix or any of the other ones, there's likely a widget that will pull in those reviews for you. So yeah, you absolutely can. Or, copy and paste part of the Google review, include that on your website. Just make sure you're linking back to the Google review so that people can see that it is, an actual Google review because that transparency matters. So knowing where that review came from, if you're going to take a part of it, just link back to it on the actual Google profile so that people can see where that review came from. Aaron, good question. How many reviews do I actually need? That's a there's no magic number. Obviously, the more you can get, the better. But I'll go back to something we said earlier. There's kind of a few thresholds that matter. Uh, Research is going to show that recency is more important than the number. So if there was a business that's received, 15 reviews over the last 3 months, they're often going to outrank someone who has 200 reviews but hasn't received any over the last year. So recency seems to matter more than the actual quantity. Again, you want to get as many as you can, but you'd like to have the ideal situation is going to be like getting 1 to 2 reviews per week and then responding to those and just consistently getting those. So again, it's when you first start doing the review process, so if you have that system that you set in place, you may get 5 reviews at once because you finally sent out that email to ask people for it. So you want to kind of attempt to control how often you're getting them. So maybe segment your list and send to half of your list requesting a review this week, and then next week send to the other half, and then alternate that. And that way you're hitting the different audience a couple different times and you're spreading out when the reviews might come in. But ideally you want to be getting reviews regularly. So recency matters and then the number matters. But yeah, you want to establish that cadence to where you're getting reviews on a regular basis. All good questions. All right. I don't see anything else coming in. So thank you for being here. Again, next week we're going to do our office hours and we're going to look at creating our 60-day plan for one digital marketing channel. Thanks very much for being here, and I'll talk to you next week.